Sarah Tiasdale, 1884 to 1933, was an American poet. This poem called There Will Come Soft Rains was published first in 1918 in an issue of Harper's Magazine. Man might destroy himself, but nature will neither care nor be poorer. The frogs in the pools are described as singing at night, a common and comforting sound in many natural settings. Hello everyone, welcome back to my session 1 of first sem BCom English, poem 5, There Will Come Soft Rains by Sarah Tiasdale. Myself, B. Shobha Rani, faculty in English, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence in MYSURU. In my today's session, I'll be discussing about a very interesting poem, poem 5 of unit 1 of first sem BCom English, There Will Come Soft Rains by Sarah Tiasdale. In this session, I'm going to discuss about the poet who has written this wonderful poem, that is Sarah Tiasdale, and the annotation of the poem. Moving on to the brief description of the poet who has written this wonderful poem called There Will Come Soft Rains. Sarah Tiasdale, 1884 to 1933, was an American poet whose short personal lyrics were noted for their clarity, simplicity, and quiet intensity. That was the uniqueness of this great poet who wrote this poem, There Will Come Soft Rains, Sarah Tiasdale, who was an American poet whose short personal lyrics were noted for their clarity, simplicity, and quiet intensity. You can see the picture of this great poet called Sarah Tiasdale. She was born in St. Louis in Missouri. Her first volume of verse sonnets to Deuce and other poems were published in 1907. She wrote 7 books of poetry in her lifetime. Tiasdale poetry is firmly rooted in the early 20th century movement. Poetry movement in the 20th century is called Imagism. And Imagist poets like Ezra Pound, Amy Lowell, and Sarah Tiasdale created sharp, concrete images in very simple language with a focus on the essence of the subject of the poetry. The very important theme of this poem is, it is about the anti-war poem. It is an anti-war poem. Her fondness for music was reflected in the lyric poems she wrote. Many of Tiasdale's lyric poems have been set to music and recorded by numerous individual singers and groups. See, the uniqueness of this lyric poems have been set to music and recorded by numerous individual singers and groups. This poem called There Will Come Soft Rains was published first in 1918 in an issue of Harper's Magazine, and in 1920 Tiasdale added the subtitle Wartime to emphasize on the background of war. And this poem, There Will Come Soft Rains, addresses 4 questions related to mankind's suffering due to the devastation of World War I. Sarah Tiasdale's There Will Come Soft Rains is an anti-war poem which addresses the destruction of mankind by his own hands. As I said, this poem is nothing but an anti-war poem which addresses what is the suffering that a man undergoes when there is a war. The poem reflects the impact of war from the perspective of nature of birds and frogs and trees whose lives will go on even if human race is wiped out from the planet. Even if the war devastates the whole human mankind, but the nature will remain forever. That is what she means here. The poem portrays the natural world and its wildlife as being in perfect harmony and free from all care. You know, whatever the mankind suffering might be, he might be eliminated from the planet Earth, but the nature, the birds, the frogs will be carefree and will go on and on. The natural world is unconcerned and indifferent to human suffering caused by the devastating war. So the devastating war may eliminate the whole human mankind, but the natural world is unconcerned or it is indifferent to human suffering caused by the devastating war. The world of the swallows, frogs, robins, and trees is undisturbed and indifferent to man's anguish. Anguish means suffering. Although there were no atomic or nuclear weapons, then when the poet imagines a future world where mankind's obsession for war and violence may result in its total annihilation or extinction. And if mankind perishes, nature would not even notice the absence of man. See, that is the beauty of nature. Nature is forever, it is eternal. The writer subtly hints that at nature's ability to stay alive and distance itself from the world of humans. Man might destroy himself, but nature will neither care nor be poorer. So man is both a creator as well as a destructor. So even if man destroys himself, but the nature will neither care nor be poorer. The poem is a disturbing portrayal of human mankind's bleak future on earth. Hopeful. Bleak means hopeful future on earth. Moving on to the first half of the poem depicts pastoral scenes, that is connected with a pleasant country life, with a beautiful portrayal of animals and trees in their natural states. It stands as a contrast to the second half of the poem where the tone turns bitter, criticizing mankind's meaningless and frenzied yearning for war and violence. This whole poem is a 12-line poem where the second half of the poem where the tone turns bitter, criticizing mankind's meaningless and frenzied yearning for war and violence. Mankind's meaningless and frenzied means that which is out of control, yearning for war and violence. Man's disappearance from the face of the earth is not as far-fetched an idea as it once may have been, and if mankind perished utterly, it would be by man's own hands. So as I said, man is a creator as well as a destructor. If something is destroyed on this planet earth, and he all alone is responsible for the destruction of human mankind. Moving on to the poem. As I said, There Will Come Soft Rains is a 12-line poem where the first line goes like this. There will come soft rains and the smell of the ground, and swallows circling with their shimmering sound, and frogs in the pool singing at night, and wild plum trees in tremulous white. Robins will wear their feathery fire, whistling their wings on a low fence wire, and not one will know of the war, not one will care at last when it is done. Not one would mind, neither bird nor tree, if mankind perished utterly, and spring herself, when she woke at dawn, would scarcely know that we were gone. So these are the 12 lines of the poem by Sarah Teasdale, that is, There Will Come Soft Rains. Here in this poem, the swallows, here there will come soft rains and the smell of the ground, and swallows. Swallows is a small bird circling with their shimmering. Shimmering means glittering or attractive sound, and frogs in the pool singing at night, and wild plum trees in tremulous. Tremulous means shaking white. Robins will wear their feathery fire. You know, the orange color, the red orange color of the breast of the robin bird indicates feathery fire. Whistling their whims, that is change of mind, on a low fence wire, and not one will know of the war, not one will care at last when it is done. Not one would mind, neither bird nor tree, if mankind perished utterly, and spring herself, when she woke at dawn, would scarcely know that we were gone. These are the beautiful 12 lines of the poem, There Will Come Soft Rains by Sarah Teasdale. Now let me move on to the analysis or annotation of each and every line of this wonderful poem called There Will Come Soft Rains. Moving on to the first line. There will come soft rains and the smell of the ground. So what exactly this line mean? In this line, the poet envisions means imagines a future where the natural world continues its cycle of renewal and growth. See, this is something like man comes and goes away, but even the nature will have its own pleasant atmosphere forever. The soft rains. So, what does this soft rains symbolize? The soft rains symbolize gentle, refreshing rains that nurture the earth. So, when the rains fall on the earth, you can see the small rain droplets when they fall on the earth. So, what does it symbolize? Gentle, refreshing rains that nurture that take care of the earth. The smell of the ground. See, there will come soft rains and the smell of the ground. So, what does the smell of the ground evokes? A sense of earthiness and vitality, strength, suggesting that nature will persist and thrive, survive, despite human absence or turmoil. So, whatever might be the human beings' turmoil or absence on this planet Earth, but the strength of the nature will remain forever. Nature will be there forever. It will persist and survive forever. So that is the meaning of the first line. There will come soft rains and the smell of the ground. What does the second line mean? And swallows circling with their shimmering sound. Swallows, as we know, they are the birds known for their graceful flight, and melodic calls are depicted here. So why the poet has taken into consideration these birds? Because swallows are small birds known for their graceful flight. They fly very gracefully and also sing very melodiously. Their shimmering sound, that is their attractive sound, evokes an image of beauty and harmony in the natural world. So when they sing so beautifully, what does it give? What does it depict? It depicts the image of beauty and harmony harmony means peace in the world. The swallows circling suggest a sense of freedom and the ongoing rhythmic patterns of nature. Circling with their shimmering sound. Attractive sound means they are carefree, they are full of freedom. So they sit on the fence of the wire and sing so melodiously without the care of human beings. Moving on to the next third line, and frogs in the pools singing at night. So usually we find frogs in the night croaking, making this sound in a pool. The frogs in the pools are described as singing at night, a common and comforting sound in many natural settings. So in many of the natural settings where we come across ponds, pools, and in the night we can see the croaking or the sound made by the frogs, and frogs in the pool singing at night. So what exactly these lines highlight? This line highlights the presence of life and activity in natural spaces. So in the night, we don't see any human activities in the night, but we can see the presence of life and activity in natural spaces. For example, in the night, we can see the frogs making their sound, continuing undisturbed by human event. Nobody will be there to disturb them in the night because there are no human activities in the night. So the frogs are free enough to make use of their natural environment by making sounds. That is the meaning or analysis of the third line of the poem. There will come soft rains, that is, and frogs in the pool singing at night. You can see the beautiful picture here. What does the fourth line of the poem say? And wild plum trees in tremulous white. Wild plum trees are grown in the wild, and in tremulous means shaking white. So actually the wild plum trees are illustrated in their delicate white blossoms. So they are very, they are undisturbed by the human beings. So they are very carefree and they have a lot of freedom. So the wild plum trees indicates what? Freedom. The word tremulous suggests a gentle, quivering beauty, emphasizing the tree's fragile yet persistent presence. This line contributes to the overall imagery of nature's enduring grace. Moving on to the line 5. Robins will wear their feathery fire. Robins with their vibrant plumage, that is the feathers, are portrayed metaphorically as wearing feathery fire, indicating their bright, lively colors. Orange-red breast of the robin bird, which indicates bright, lively colors. This line reinforces the theme of nature's beauty and vitality, contrasting with the human-made conflicts that may overshadow it. So whatever may be the human conflicts, but nothing can overcome the beauty of this beautiful bird called robin. Whistling their wings on a low fence wire. Whistling their wings means change of mind. So they just sit on the fence of the wire, the robins, and they sing so melodiously because they are carefree, they have a lot of freedom, they have no human interference, and they show that they are totally free. That is what it means by this line, whistling their wings on a low fence wire. The robins are depicted as whistling whimsically while perched on a low fence wire. This image, like you can imagine a robin bird sitting on a fence of a wire and singing so melodiously. So this image, what does it convey? Conveys a sense of playfulness. You know, they're very, very happy, they're playful and freedom in nature. So they sing so melodiously because they are carefree and there is freedom and there is no human interventions, emphasizing how the natural world continues its routines irrespective of human concern. So nature without any human interference, you know, it goes on and on beautifully carrying on its daily activities. Moving on to the line 7. And not one will know of the war, not one. What exactly this line means according to the poet? This line contrasts the persistent beauty of nature with human conflict, and not one will know of the war. So the statement that not one, what exactly it means by not one, that is none of the creatures of elements or elements of nature will be aware of the war, underscores the idea that nature remains indifferent to human struggles and disasters. There might be a war going on, but the nature is not at all bothered about the human sufferings that is happening and that which is devastating the whole human mankind. So nature is not at all, see, not one, none of the creatures or elements of nature will be aware of the war, underscores the idea that nature remains indifferent to human struggles and disasters. So what does the line 8 mean? What are the lines of the 8th line of this poem called There Will Come Soft Rains by Sarah Tiasdale? Will care at last when it is done. Even after the war ends, nature will remain unaffected and indifferent. We all can imagine when there is a war. And as I said, and this particular poem called There Will Come Soft Rains addresses 4 questions related to the sufferings of human mankind due to World War I. So even after the war ends, nature will remain unaffected and indifferent. So this line reinforces the notion that natural world is detached from human affairs. Nature is not at all bothered about human beings and will continue as before. Before the war or after the war, the nature will remain the same. But who is destroyed or devastated is human mankind. And his sufferings will go on and on, but the nature's beauty will be forever, regardless of human actions or their outcomes. Moving on to the 9th line of the poem, not one would mind neither bird nor tree. The poem continues to stress nature's indifference. What do you mean by nature's indifference? Whatever might be the man's suffering due to the war, but the nature remains calm and comfortable without being affected by the war. Would have neither the birds nor the trees would have any emotional response to the end of human conflicts. This line further emphasizes that is not one would mind neither bird nor tree. This line further emphasizes the theme of nature's continuity and apathy towards human endeavors. 10th line, if mankind perished utterly. Here, the poet considers a scenario where humanity has completely vanished due to war. The implication is that even in such an extreme situation where there is a war and the whole of the mankind is devastated and his sufferings are more, nature would remain unaffected and would not grieve the loss of mankind. So beautifully the lines of this poem goes. In this poem, There Will Come Soft Rains by Sarah Tiasdale. As I said, this is a poem written as an anti-war poem by the poet. Line 11. And spring herself when she woke at dawn. spring is something which indicates happiness and the ongoing of the things. Here, spring personified as a living entity is depicted as waking up at dawn. This personification suggests that even the seasons are part of the ongoing cycle of life and renewal. Whatever might be, even if the war has destroyed the whole human mankind and human beings are vanished from the planet Earth, but still the seasons will go on, and the cycle of seasons will continue forever. And they will continue their process regardless of human existence. See, man might be here, there or not on this planet Earth, but the nature is forever. Line 12, that is the last 12th line of the poem, there will come soft rains, goes like this. Would scarcely know that we were gone. What exactly the poet means by this final line? Finally, the poet concludes that spring or nature as a whole would be only minimally aware of humanity's absence. Neither the seasons will know the absence of human beings, nor the nature will have any effect of humans' disappearance on this planet Earth. So the nature will remain forever. That is what the word scarcely implies, that nature's awareness or acknowledgement of human disappearance would be negligible. It is not at all, even humans' non-existence on this planet Earth is negligible to the nature, highlighting the ultimate insignificance of human actions in the grand scheme of the natural world. So, as we know, due to human activities, the man destroys himself. He eliminates himself from this planet Earth due to devastation that is caused by war. But the nature is not at all bothered about the human existence on this planet Earth, and it goes on and on. Hope you all have understood this wonderful poem called There Will Come Soft Rains by Sarah Teasdale. The main theme of this poem is love, beauty, and death. Thank you.